Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem.
Good morning. Welcome to Pimlico Racecourse. Happy Sunday. Hope you got a cup of coffee with you and you're lounging on your couch, or you're already with us here at the racecourse. Naomi Tucker, Keith Fustel, trying to pick you, a couple of horses to get you paid on this Sunday here at Pimlico Racecourse. You're reporting from Baltimore, and the weather is holding up pretty nicely. Keith, are we expecting it to be all right today?
I think so. Holding sway, as we like to say, in the chart caller world. But yeah, it's
sway. I like it.
Doing just fine. And we'll see what we've got on today's card. Yesterday, we really couldn't come up with a lot of big prices. I think we only had one double-digit winner. What was it? I'm a Star Boy 1780 in the second. But hopefully you were along watching the early show, and I didn't know if you flashed the stats yesterday during the races, but always misbehaving. Our little stat play ran second at a big place price to complete a really good exacta. So hopefully you followed on. That was a tricky little race. So sometimes if you see a little nugget like that we give out and it's a big price, there's a button on those machines called the all button. Don't be scared to use that and take those horses top and bottom. That's what it's there for.
We'll take your advice for it, Keith, because you tend to be right when it comes to those price plays. And yes, we do try and get your stats up every single time in the afternoon as well to give everyone that little nugget of information that you gathered for us. I know you got one coming up for us today a little bit later on as well. Let's have a look at the current track condition, officially rated fast and firm. I must say, just looking at it now, I was looking at it when we were playing the intro, I do think there's a little bit of cut in the ground when it comes to the turf. I remember yesterday the jockeys were reporting it's riding on the softer side. We've had some rain. I was just looking at the main track. Main track's still fast, but you can see that we've had a bit of rain overnight.
Yes, we did have some. I live about 15 minutes north of here, and we did have some rain even further north. I was talking to Bill, and he lives up in Carroll County, and quite a bit of rain there. So luckily we dodged a bullet with getting a deluge. We're staying on the turf, which was what we want. I think it's hedging towards firm. We're going to label it firm. And the main track yesterday, for the most part, I'd say maybe a slight edge to inside in its speed. We saw a couple horses carry pretty well that were down inside with that speed. So we'll see how it plays out today.
How about the turf? Because I think we saw some speed carry, but we also saw a couple of rallies.
Absolutely. I think the turf course played very fair. Yep.
Yeah, well, that's always good to hear as we'll go into our 8-race card today. Let's get going with that first event. Early pick 5 starts right here in the first post time, 12:40 Eastern, and that is claiming 10 to 8. Condition claimer here, 6 furlong sprinting distance. You can hear the wind is starting to turn up a little bit here.
May not sound good, but it feels okay.
It feels pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah, let's keep it going with this wind here. Keith and I go similarly in terms of our exact. That is both landed on Dr. K towards the outside. Rudy Rodriguez, Angel Cruz. In his last 3, he's been the lone speed, or the speed before folding. Now, what's more helpful for a horse that has shown speed and then kind of starts tailing off than a bit of class relief?
A little class relief. He doesn't have the horses today. They're going to press him that have been breathing down his neck in the last few races, especially on the dirt. You look back to King Cheek, the winner of that race, came back to win the Sir Barton opening race on Preakness Day. So he's faced the right kind of horses. Rudy Rod, when he's coming here and dropping, is about 20%. I don't see anybody that quite have the speed to keep up with him. Yeah. He might get some pressure, but as you say, the class relief just might get him over the top. But he's going to have to deal with Salmon Sai. Looks like the in-form horse right now. They hold the level after a score last time. Ran down a loose speed, did Salmon Sai to go winning, kind of going away. I think the 6 furlongs works for him too. So 6-1, we're chalking it up a little bit here.
Well, we do have 2 scratches on his inside as well, which means that in the end he's only going to have 3 horses on his inside to kind of come over with that speed. I think that helps him out terrifically. And indeed, I use Salmon Sai underneath because he's relatively unexposed, made an impressive, very wide sweeping move last time out and still got his picture taken. So 6-1 for both Keith and I. And then it just comes up to maybe finding a couple of price plays in there. Although my picks are the same as Keith actually, 6-1-5-4, because the 2 and the 3 are not lining up in this race, as we can see here on the board. If we can get that changed there, thank you so much, guys. Yeah, I was just wondering about that.
Maybe you will end up with my picks.
I was going to say, I did change it because we do have the Doobie and Cook brothers resting for another chance, another day. Race number 2, 5 furlong, 2-year-old maiden special weight. Now, we don't have that many 2-year-old races yet.
No.
I get really excited when they're carded, so I'm looking forward to this one. I ended up using Slats on top. He was one of our trip highlights. And let's look back at his only start to date. And, well, he didn't broke that well. Look, head up in the air, very green still. You can really kind of see that inexperience there. Let's hope that the experience did him good. And I thought of his late running effort there. Look, widest of them all. I mean, what was that, like 10 wide? Not even in the shot.
Yeah.
But only gets beaten by a neck into third. And surely he'll move up.
I really thought here, coming past the 8th pole, that he was going to get by. I mean, he had so much adversity to overcome. He was not a good actor in the post parade. We had commented about that before. The gate issue, he's got to take care of that if he's going to run even a little bit better today. So he's got to come off. The experience should help him, but he now runs into a horse here for Grand Motion, a $300,000 purchase by Practical Joke. You talk about the 2-year-old race. You see some newer sires. Okay, well, Practical Joke, he's come out firing. I mean, he is rolling right along. I think he's 4 for 9 with first-time starters so far on the dirt. So with those dirt, he is rocking and rolling. We've got a little stat here too for Motion with this horse, Powerful Force. Last 5 years, Graham. It's not a big sample. It was kind of like the horse we had the other day, a smaller sample, Dale Cap. Pay attention when he does this move. 4 for 10 is Grand Motion, 40%, 6 for 10 in the money. 2-year-olds. Turf to Dirt making their second career start, ROI 307. Took plenty of play in New York. There's dirt on the bottom side. Yeah, I think there's going to be plenty to like here for Powerful Force back on the main track.
And I didn't even get as far as you were incorporating, the turf to dirt angle. I just looked at Graham Motion with his second time starts over the last 5 years, has won 16% from a sample of 288 runners. So huge sample, terrific stats there, 46 winners. He tends to do well with these horses. Give them a first run, give them an experience, get that sort of physical fitness level up to scratch. Powerful Force, it just seems like he's encountering an easy field here, but there's a couple of unknowns, of course, in here, a couple of first-time starters as well. I use one of those, Mr. Mox underneath, just sharp works coming in for the Jamie Ness stable.
Yeah, you look at both Sibs to race. They didn't run really fast figures, but they brought speed to the table. Gate speed, that's what you want in these 5/8 races. Now, Ness, if I'm looking back correctly, over the last few years, he's 0 for 11 with 2-year-old maiden special weight first-time starters, 4 for 11 in the money. They were all out of town. So this is a little bit of a new twist here for Jamie Ness. But going back real quick to Powerful Force, wanted to talk about the sibling. The only sibling to race is a 3-year-old, half bro by Quality Road, ran a 62 on dirt in debut. And then just recently he's paired up 86s. He's yet to break his maiden, but he's running high numbers on the main track. So I got to think Powerful Force might just kind of move on up here on the transition to the dirt.
Well, and Powerful Force ran a 59 buyer on debut, even though it was on the turf. But if he improves and runs mid-60s, that's good enough to win this race. I'm trying to take a bit of a shot here with the rail horse slats because I know that the money's going to come in on Powerful Force, especially comparing those two speed figures. Slats definitely, that wasn't the strongest of races, but the trouble, the greenness, surely he can move forward there. As we'll move on to race number 3, as we have 8 races on the card, it means that in race number 3, we'll kick off the Rainbow Pick 6, $5,971 carryover. We've started counting again, and we're still getting up towards some interesting numbers here that hopefully get you a bit of a nice payout if you do hit or have a live ticket. Of course, have to have a single ticket, the only single ticket alive, but you still get paid out when your ticket hits no matter what. 6, 9, and 10. I go 3 deep here in the opening leg, 1 mile on the turf. The 10 is my top selection here, and I was kind of tempted, do I use a 10 as a single? Because I think the grey emotion factor, Fergal Lynch, blinkers go on. She ran deceptively good at Monmouth last time out, making up more than 5 lengths after a crawling early pace. So I was like, do I single? No, I didn't want to single in the first leg because it would be very depressing to get kicked out. So we didn't do that. I used the 6 and the 9. Bourbon Gal has some interest in her. She ought to be going on the lead, stretching back out here for you, McMahon. And in race number 4, I go 2 deep using the 3 and the 4, Shaka Style, and Always Forgiven. Always Forgiving, my top selection in there. And in race 5, I spread, going 4 deep. That open company first level allowance 3-year-old and up, mile 16 on the turf, 2, 4, 9, and 12. The number 2, Benny Havens, though, is my prize play for Anthony Aguirre. Junior Havian Toledo got nearly put through the rail in his last outing. That was sprinting on the turf, first race of the season. I like that they just wanted to put some fitness into him. He's getting back to his optimum distance here. Let's hope he gets a clean trip. I think it was a 5-1 morning line. I'll take that as a price play here. Now, there's a couple of course, other horses that have some back class. I like John G. I like the number 4, Sulos Barbados. I think he's just always struck me as a 2-turn horse. So this just might suit him. Don't want to sit on Dale Capuana runner. But towards the outside, the number 12, Beacon Hill, have some interest in him because the whole pedigree screams going long on the turf. Race number 6, I used the 1 and the 8. Bobby 2 times on the rail. They were having a picnic up front, and he was still able to close in and get the win. I thought that was impressive, even though they were absolutely crawling, and by all means, the front runner should have had that race right there. The number 8 is my top selection, though, on the outside, Ghost on the Mission. They were, in contrast, actually going very fast in his race, and he was right there working with them, so there was no fluke, and he nearly held on that day. Race number 7, I go 5 and 7 for that feature race of the day. Mile 16 on the turf again, like we said, excited to be on the turf. I use Vancy for Michael Pino. We haven't seen him since last year's season. But if you look back, he's been campaigning in stakes company throughout and held his own. And then I used the number 7, Missing the Big Dog as well. Second after a break, and he won at that 2 other than level last time out. So can he take that next step? Race number 8, I used the 2, the 3, and the 5 in that spot. That's our finale. The 5 Folterberg, me, my top pick there for Kieran McGee. Strong race last time out. The way he was running home for a second there is what we were looking for in terms of improvement and development from that 4-year. $57.60. And I'm hoping that you've taken note. I've given you all the spiel, all the goods here. Of course, we'll dive deeper into these races as we go along. But let's talk about this filly is a mess, 3-year-old and up, mile on the turf race, claiming 16 to 12.5. No one is a 2 in their entire career. My best bet, you have her on top, is the number 10, Sweet Talking Girl. Fergal Lynch gets back on, the blinkers go on. And I didn't think that Monmouth race last time out was that bad as it might seem on paper. Only got beaten 2 1/4 lengths there, and they were crawling. They were crawling, and she was, to be quite honest, too far away from it. When they're going that slow, as a jockey, I encourage you to maybe rethink your position, because when they're not doing anything up front, they're going to sprint your way. And it takes a very good turn of foot. It takes a very, very good horse to then be able to run them down. I mean, Prime taking like example here in the Belmont Derby yesterday, Ryan Moore on Bolshoi Ballet for Aidan O'Brien. He was sitting mid-pack, and he's like, they weren't going at all. So he made quite an aggressive move on the turn to pull him out and start sweeping around because he wasn't going to catch them when they started sprinting away. So that's kind of a similar scenario with Sweet Talking Girl at the time. She was very far, still showed a rally. I think today should be easier.
Yeah, she'll get a little bit more flow. The one time she did get flow in front of her, she won. Now this is an easier spot. I think this is an easier spot than the Monmouth race. We're dropping down to the $16,000 level. I did watch that race. She was a little bit bottled up early down inside behind rivals and really didn't get a clear trip to make that maybe earlier move than the jock maybe would have wanted. So it forced his hand to kind of have to stay back. And when it was too late, it was too late. It just couldn't quite gain enough. But I think with the blinkers on, it'll be a closer attendance. Speed directly to her outside. She'll be able to drop in, save some ground. So, yeah, I like her to kind of make that steady progression from mid-pack.
Yeah, both of us use Illyria underneath for Carl Duran, Victor Carrasco. My first note when looking at this field was leave it to Victor to try and steal something up front. But in her last outing, she actually did well coming from behind. So I do wonder what kind of tactics they might want to employ today.
Yeah, she can work it out on the lead or just off of it. She's 1 for 13, but she's, 10 for 13 in the money. She's going to try. I don't think that was the strongest field at Parks last time, but she should be raced into top shape right now for her. Lower to mid-60s going to win it. It puts her right in the mix. There's like 4 or 5 horses here that all kind of have a distinct chance. If you're looking for maybe that little question mark horse, a horse stretching out before Bless and Honor, I thought ran a credible race. You go back 2 races back, 5/8 on the grass. You see the comment drafted back 3 wide. When you see me give me that comment draft back, a lot of times the horse shows a little gate speed, and the jock just said, you know what, I'm just going to let him go. And he did. This horse finished up okay. The 6th place finisher, who she finished in front of, Becken, came back to run big in a very key allowance race. This little drop is good enough. The question is the distance. I think she's going to be in range. Can she finish that final 16th? But I think the price is going to put her into the mix for me. 10, 6, 4, 8 here.
Yeah, I use the 9 Bourbon Gal because she ought to be on the lead going back to that longer distance. She'll try and fend off any closers. So I always want to include the speed on here if it works out for her. I want to be on board. Race number 4, start of the late pick. 5 mile and 16 the distance there. Beaten Nickel Claimers and no carryover for the late pick 5, but a good sequence coming your way. And Keith, you landed on It Got Grandma.
It Got Grandma.
Yeah, It Got Grandma. I mean, we've seen him throughout on this circuit. You know, a tough knocking runner that just kind of keeps on turning up, and it seems that he's getting back to a level that he's comfortable at.
Gets back to the condition. A condition race here for horses which have not won a race since January 11th or which have not won 4 in life. Yeah, Always Forgiven is going to be your favorite. 8-5 on the morning line. He doesn't have a lot of speed, but he looks like he might be going a little bit in the wrong direction. The drop might pick his head up, but It Got Grandma's got to deal with one horse up front. That's Blue Danube. And I've seen It Got Grandma sit just off of it before, make enough of a move. I think he might be able to separate himself. Acosta's going to be aggressive. You know that. If he puts the pressure into the far turn and gets daylight, he might be able to sneak away from this field. But the closer you got to worry about is the 4.
Yeah, I use Shaka Stan, my exact back-to-back wins for Ferris. And he's one of the few horses that seems to be doing well in the field. Just a couple that are tailing off a little bit, as you highlighted, trying to seek some class relief. Shaka Style, you know, has gotten through his conditions quite nicely. Let's hope that gave him some confidence, and he'll keep on fighting for Kevin Gomez. I dare say Kevin Gomez wouldn't mind making it 3 from 3 on this 5-year-old gelding. As we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back with the latter end of the card. Welcome back to Pimlico Racecourse. We're on race number 5, mile and 16 on the Turp Open Company first level allowance. I like this race coming up, and it is also the start of the late pick 4. Good race to bite your teeth and to start off with, right?
Well, yeah, I kind of, you're usually thinking, hey, Keith's going to do an early pick 4 ticket. He's going to do an early pick 4 ticket. And I said, you know what? Looking at this card, I think the most value is in the latter part of the racing card. So we're going to try races 5, 6, 7, and 8. And these turf races, they're competitive. When we get 3 of them, they're very, very close.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the turf events today.
My original ticket here was much more than 36. I had to back it up. We've got the same 4 horses. I'm shocked in race number 5 with the 2, 4, 9, and 12.
We have it in different order, though.
Yes,
but yes,
we do. But I mean, I think you could throw in Call Me Plucky. I think you could use even, I hate to say, Speed Game has run some big races on the turf. He got chewed up in return through big fractions there. So yeah, if you want to add 1 or 2 more, go ahead. But I'll go 4 deep. There's your, we'll get you started with that one, the framework. 6-8 in race number 6. Big Rennie, Ghost on a Mission. I don't have Bobby 2 times. I fear Bobby 2 times. I had to trim a little bit. Race 7, 1, 5, and 11. Hawkish, I'm hoping, can find the old Hawkish. Can we come back? Hawkish, where are you? So
well, he's getting class
this pigeon
relief.
maybe sitting in the corner here. He's kind of maybe a hunch here.
Well,
he's not a hawk, but he's a pigeon. But there's your hunch.
He's keeping us company.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Hawk is getting back to maybe a level that he needed to get back to after just that stakes company was so too tough.
And I've got a question about him too when we get to it. Race 8, the 3, 5, and 6. We're going to wrap it up. The 6 intrigues me. Firster here for Larry Curtis. There's your ticket, $36. The value, I think, is there in the late pick 4.
It might just be in this race that we're about to talk about, the Open Allowance Company Turf Event Mile 16, because you were just mentioning a couple of horses that both of us left off our ticket. We'll talk about them in a second, because a fair few in here that are intriguing in terms of, change of surface, change of style, but moving up. I use Benny Havens on top as my price play because let's look at this video. I remember this without the video because I was holding my breath because I liked him in that spot. Just coming back, seeing how he will fare. He was gearing up with a run when the rail kind of brutally closed on him. Look, switches towards the inside. Kevin Gomez is like, let's go. Horse is absolutely running. And whoop, nope, there is no gap there. And then there is, but it's too late. Took all that forward speed away. I thought for him running, making his seasonal debut, running a distance that I think is much too short for him, but I think they just wanted to get a run into him. 5 furlongs to still come with a close like that makes me think, right, we're back at the distance that he likes, got that race under his belt, sort of primed him to then come back in here.
I think that's the key. Getting back to the mile 16th. He wants to go a little bit longer. He was hitting his best stride in that video too. He was just about ready to level off.
He's about to do that.
Yep, and just got shut off there and couldn't keep going. So yeah, I think he's a user in here. You go back. He was unfortunate 3 races back in a state bred race to get DQ'd. 12 intrigues me though. Beacon Hill, Michael Matz. We talked about. He's got to heat things up sooner or later. We talked about the breeding earlier on when you're talking about your ticket, right?
I just said he's bred for turf. I didn't go into the specifics, but all the siblings have done terrifically well on the turf, or nearly all of them. Half brother, full sister, full sister, sweet victory, double stakes winner going long on the turf. So it just seems to be the right course of action. They tried last time out, but the race didn't go on the turf.
Right. So I think we're off of freshening here, but there's not a lot of true speed in here as well. I think this horse is tactical. We're going to see if he kind of moves up on the grass like his siblings. I think he can get this field. I think he can beat him. So we'll see. 12-2-4-9 for Misu Love Barbados, so you saw in that video, did close up in the Benny Havens race. It's a lot of direction. John G's in great form. He just lets everything develop up front, and he doesn't, he's closing the slower fractions and being able to get up. So highly competitive race 5.
I agree, and John G is the type of horse that will get you on the edge of your seat. Are you, is he going to get there in time? Left himself by, I think, 20 lengths to make up last time out, but luckily for him, they were going fast enough up front. Probably also the reasoning why he was so far back. So it kind of depends on the pace floor where he's positioned. But he does leave it late. But Forest Boys knows him well. But back-to-back wins. She knows when to pull him out and make sure that he just gets there in the nick of time. So we'll see how he fares. But interesting, really quickly, though, you were talking about Call Me Plucky. First start as a 4-year-old. Does he need a run? Just a couple of more average-looking works, but his turf try was the best of his career. From 3.
Absolutely. The family, the mother, she was really good, right, on the grass. You look at Artistic Endeavor, the 5, third base race back off of a cycle, had trouble in return against a field that's okay, that would fit, against this group, some of these horses. So lots of ways to go in the 5th. I'll kind of key around the 2 and the 12. Use those in exact as 1st and 2nd, and then we'll mix it up from there. Interesting. I like what I make the morning line favorite in here. 4-1. Beacon Hill, I originally had. So I just didn't know,
really?
with the barn just not firing, how much attraction and the outside post is this horse going to get. So you should get plenty of value.
I mean, race 5 is probably one of the better races of the day.
Yes,
that's where
agreed.
you're going to find the value today. So let's hope that for everyone playing these exotic bets, we will get value. So the ticket pays a little bit more. Race number 6, nickel beaten claimer here, mile and 16 the distance. Keith and I look at this similarly. You landed on the number 6 in here. Big Rinny closer for Hamilton Smith, Charlie Marquez. Steep drop from that last outing, where to be honest, he was a little bit outclassed, never really got himself into it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to try to buck some stats here. Turf to dirt, 3%. Jock and trainer, they've been a little chilly, to say the least. But Big Rennie, I think he'll move back to the dirt. This is what he needs. There's not a lot of really blazing speed. And his speed kind of got a little bit better his last couple races on the dirt. I think he can keep him in range and wear him down.
I have him underneath.
We'll
I'm going with the speed horse here, Ghost on a Mission for Henry Walters. I mean, they were rattling up front last time over course and distance at this level, and he was right there with him, and he nearly held on that day. Do you think Geraldo is going to have to be careful not to overdo it when sending him from the outside? But I like the gameness he showed in here. And then I have some interest in the one horse as well, Bobby 2 Times. You said you left him off, but you're fearful.
Yes. I am fearful. I mean, as you talked about it, they were crawling up front, and he left them a lot to do.
They were having a picnic.
Yeah, they sprinted away around the final turn, and he just kind of regrouped and kept grinding. You see the comment, and was able to get up. He flashed a lot of talent in debut. We'll see if he can come back to that. So, Rodriguez, he works for me. I think he's going to be a player in here, but he's got to be able to stay in range by the quarter pole, I think. So Ghost on a Mission might just get the jump on this field.
Yeah, I think so as well. So move on to the feature of the day. Optional claimer 3 other than. Also on the turf, you can tell that all our competitive betting races and just competitive in general are on the turf. We use some of the same horses in here, but let's start with the video spotlight we have on the number 5, Vancy, who's also my top selection. We'll look back at his last effort at Pimlico on a yielding turf course. So I know we're on firm here, but I know that the jocks have said it's a little bit soft, so at least we know that he can kind of skip over it. I thought he had a really good start up until when the field folded over like a harmonica.
I just didn't quite know. The jock right there kind of gave up position a little bit, and once he started to give that position, and when you see it time and time again, you get yourself in trouble. The horse had to checked about 2 times. It looked like off of heels. Then he kind of gets working it out, leaving the far turn angles out top of the stretch. Stays on the left lead a little longer than I would have liked. Finally switches over here and makes a pretty good run into it. So Vancy, I still think he's got to run a little bit faster. He's a little older now. He's fresh. I think he's got enough tactical speed against this group just to stay close enough. But there's some good horses in here. Some back class kind of horses.
I'm hoping that the screws have been tightened on Fancy, because last race was at Woodbine in November last year. But that worked, 47-4. I like a little bit of a speed injection there, just seeing where they're at. So I think Michael Pino is kind of happy with the way he's been preparing. We'll see how he fares here on his seasonal 2021 debut. But you landed on a horse that I've taken some interest in as well, the number 11, Hawkish, for Jamie Toner there. Back class. First thing I noted down is it still there? But also he's finally down to a level that he might be able to get back into winning ways.
They're still kind of protecting, right? He's not in for any tag.
No,
he's
no,
in for the condition.
Protected.
So he's protected here. He ran okay off a 217-day layoff back in May of 2020, being on holiday. You look at some of the horses he's kept company with. This is what I want to ask you. He looks like a horse. His best races, they're all in the warmer weather too. I mean, what do you see with that sometimes? I mean, is that something you ever take into consideration?
I mean, you know what? Tim once alerted me on one of his favorite angles, horses coming from the warmer climate in Florida, racing over here to a bit of a cool, chilly air, that tends to do them well.
Yeah.
But an interesting thing saying he likes to run in the warmer climate. I have never really made that note.
No,
so
but I just keep
angle.
looking, and I'm trying to reach and dig a little bit.
Possibly they're like humans. Some of us
Yeah.
deal with the heat better than others. We see that in hosts being more washed out in the paddock beforehand, or just getting a little bit more uncomfortable in terms of, sweating up and kind of just not dealing with it as well. That today's going to be a warm day.
Yeah.
So if you say Hawkish has been running better in the warmer climate, that might play into his hand.
And like you say, he runs an 86 buyer off of this kind of layoff. 86 is about the number I think you're going to have to run for this race. He's got a very good turf rider in Forrest Boyce.
Yep.
We know she's a great judge of pace. Where's the pace going to come from? Working on a Dream likes to go to the front on the dirt, but the Saratoga Jack, his back turf races are good. He can hang around if he relaxes and takes the rating early. I think he can battle you from on or just off the pace. So I think the flow is going to be really good for Saratoga Jack. But Hawkish, that back class, the still protect move, take a little angle here on the warmer weather angle, and we'll see what we got.
Yeah, I use the number 7, Missing the Big Dog, a great name for Anthony Aguirre, Jorge Ruiz. Like that race, that race coming back after a bit of a winter break. We saw that frequently with the turf horse, and then you start kind of seeing what you've got. One of that 2 other than level wasn't in for the tag, protected again here. Can he keep moving forward? Ran an 83. Will indeed, as you mentioned, have to step up on a couple of points, but not beyond reach for a horse that has that sort of race fitness on his side.
Right. I mean, and Gunnison is another one. Gunnison, doesn't quite have the tactical speed as Missing the Big Dog, but very close. Another one kind of jumping up, right? He hasn't gotten through the 2 other than condition, correct?
No. He is actually stepping it up a notch.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at
yep.
that. He went from the 2
Right.
other than condition, but he hasn't won on that. So actually, I guess taking his chances when there's a turf race that seems suitable, figures that stack up in here. Why not?
Is he a victim of flow in here? We'll see. But he's kind of gotten back to some of his best form. So intriguing race. I think Saratoga Jack. I think he ran pretty good. I saw a race back at Laurel Wright in the winter, late January, where he held on a lot better than I thought. So I think he can sit just off of it if he needs to.
I'm a little bit fearful of Saratoga Jack. I feel like I've overlooked him in the way that the flow is indeed setting up in his favor. And his turf efforts, now you have to go back.
Yeah.
But they were good.
They were good. Real good.
So, if he gets back to even just, 75% of that form, that could help him out in here. As we'll move on to the finale here at Pimlico Racecourse. Race number 8, which is, if my computer is working with me, 6 furlong distance here for the maiden claimers, 40 to 32,000. And I landed on the number 5, and so did you, Baltimore. We do have a video spotlight of his last race, which was right here at Pimlico. He is number 1 there. Still something to do. But the way he was running home for second in that last race, I thought that was progression. I thought that was growth and development more than, if you look at the speed figures, it might not jump off it.
Right.
But just the visual effort here, that he was interested and he was game, that's what I like to see. It's going to be 3rd start for Kieran McGee as well. We know that he tends to kind of get these horses back into their winning ways. And he's got the back figures, albeit that is on the all-weather and the turf. So that's always a but, isn't it?
Baltimore might win in Baltimore. There you go, Baltimore.
Be a good one for Dave Rodman.
Yeah, Robin will
have
have fun with that one. But yeah, I agree. The number it goes up a point, but visually looked better. Dialing Dixie was able to dictate. And even the 2-back try, he was kind of against it, went wide and trying into it. So yeah, 3-5, 5-3, they're very difficult to separate, these two. But the stranger that lurks on the outside for me, and this is just me digging up a little bit of dirt, looking at Little Ferris. Now, Larry Curtis does not run a lot here, right? You show 3 works coming in, but this horse is by Uncle Lino, who's done quite well so far, right? With the first-time starters, like 16, 17%. Even the 3-year-olds and up, I think he's 23% with a smaller sample. But this trainer, the last 5 years, is 4 for 15 with first-time starters. It's 27%, and he nearly pulled a huge upset, going back a ways, at Laurel with a 35-1 shot for the same owner. He's 3 for 3 in the money with this particular owner with first-time starters. The works are there. This is the same kind of work tab.
There's only 3 works,
That's the same pattern as that other horse that was 35-1 that nearly pulled the upset. I see that workout, speed. So interesting. That's all I can say. Same jockey was on the horse. They bring the rider. There's your stranger in the nightcap. I would not leave that horse out of my multi-race.
That is, great information there. Looking
That's how
at
sick
Little
I am.
Ferris.
Yes.
6-1, and indeed, if you know the connection as well and figure out a pattern, because on face value, I was like, okay, only 3 works, but the first work is 48 flat from the gate.
Which nobody was even close to that.
So you're kind of going, but hold on, he must have been doing 2-minute legs before that. You can't just do 48 flat breeze from the gate if that's your first breeze. So interesting angle here. I will make sure to flag it up later on as well as a bit of a Keith Fustel nugget here as we'll move on to lightning round.
Okay. I hope he beats it. That's all.
Got to love Chubwagon, don't you? I do. Anyway, Chubwagon, she remains undefeated. 2-time Pimlico Stakes victors. We're looking back at the ski pad here on Preakness Day. I mean, she's an 8-time winner, 4-time back-to-back stakes victors. The Shine Again Stakes, the ski pad. Now, we all remember the Shine Again Stakes when she was going against Hello Beautiful. And she went up at Delaware, what was it, last Saturday, so yesterday. Hello Beautiful didn't line up, though. So I did think she got a bit of an easier race there, but it's good to see her continuing her streak. We're hoping to see her back in stakes events here soon as well. And as usual, try to pick up on a trip note or two from yesterday. That is Saturday. We're looking at Notion Interruptus, who encountered a little bit of traffic down the lane. Right there he is, trying to figure out how to get into the clear base. Yeah,
he took plenty of action, too. I think I had this horse lined at 8-1 on the morning line. A little bit of a drop in class. For Schoenthal. Forest Voice rode well to the quarter, had that position. And sometimes you get a little unlucky, try to angle out. Didn't quite quicken, and then was put in a little bit of a tight spot there past the 8th. Well, this horse, too, I think might sprint. I think this horse might work even 5.5 down the road at Laurel on the turf course. So we'll keep a look at that one.
Yeah, put him in your little black book as horses to follow. And a horse that we all know very well, Jesus' Team, is coming back into action at Gulfstream Park today. Race 10, $60,000 handicap, 1 mile. The distance, of course, we remember him from his Preakness Stakes effort. He was 3rd in that. But also he ran 2nd in the Pegasus World Cup at Gulfstream Park, and after that went to Dubai, ran 6th in Dubai World Cup, had a break, and now coming back in this race. I think it is setting up nicely for him. I think that maybe the number 4 Pro Quality might want to go forward, take the lead, so Jesus' Team can have a nice sort of horse to target, because he's never the one to really go forward. He's always, hanging back a little bit and then starting to come into it and started to cruise. So very much looking forward to this horse who's been, a globetrotter. He might not have won those big races.
I'm a fan of his. He's a trier.
They're taking a chance.
I am a big fan of Jesus' Team. As you said, he had to go over there. Dubai just didn't really quite do it, but he's run some big races in the past. He gives an effort. I read something in the form. I think the trainer, maybe not fully cranked, but he still thinks he's good enough to get it done today.
Yeah. That is Jose Francisco D'Angelo, who is taking a chance with a horse that has really put him on the map. This horse has meant everything to him and really opened up everyone's eyes to his training capabilities. So we wish him the best of luck. Sammy Camacho takes the ride there. That is race number 10 at Gulfstream Park. We have 8 races coming up for us here today, and we'll hear from the voice of Maryland Racing next, Dave Rotman, with some of the scratches and changes for today.
All right, good luck.